Hey, Eric.
Hey, John. Welcome to Mostly Security.
Awesome to talk to you again. So, hey, it's been a long week. What's new with you?
So last week I was going fishing. We
You
actually
did?
caught quite a bit of fish, 16 decent sized. Clearly it was stocked trout.
That's a lot of fish.
There's a whole bunch of trout in the freezer waiting to be cooked up, so that's fun. More fun just to kind of be out and about on a boat with my kids. That was the fun part.
I love being on a boat.
And then just this morning, I put my boy, who's 12, on a plane to fly solo to Grandma and Grandpa's house for the first time ever. And since he was 12, I had to pay the unaccompanied minor fee.
Right.
That had its own set of hassles, but it was all right. He made it from point A to point B.
That's what you would hope for.
And then we will meet up with him and Grandma and Grandpa. We're going to be on vacation next week, so it'll be fun. Busy week for me.
Nice. Let's see. One of the exciting things that happened this week is on Saturday they had a big. I'm gonna talk bees again, at least for a moment here. But they had a big bee day here in the for the Tualatin Valley Beekeepers Club.
The gateway drug.
The
gateway.
Well, no, those are chickens. Chickens are the gateway drug to bees.
Oh, that's right.
That's
to
right.
bees.
That's right. Sorry, that I found that just hilarious. Anyway, that was cool. I went and it was very hot, but I went and sat out there, and none of my family wanted to go, so I'm there.
Your hive's coming along then? I know you said the one is going gangbusters. What about your other?
Yeah, the one's doing great. Next year should be a
Right.
good year. We'll see. The half a hive, the one that I tried to split off. That one is, on the edge. We'll see. So I still going to give it another couple weeks, and
No honey yet.
nope. But that was the other thing that they had at last Saturday is they have what they call their honey house. For the club. It's basically at a farm nearby, and they've got an old milk parlor or something like that. Just a small shed that's all brick, and they've got it all set up for extracting honey, and you basically reserve a 4-hour slot. So I got instructions on how to use the honey house, which is great because then I don't have to go buy all that kind of equipment, which I have no desire to do. Let's see. I have one piece of follow up from last week. I don't know if you had any.
Your QNAP.
My QNAP. It was one of those things that, as I was saying out loud, that yeah, it doesn't really reboot successfully when I run updates, and it's kind of a pain. I said that, which is true. It was 100% truth, but it was also, John, you should really just fix that. You're being a lazy SOB. So one of the nights this past week, I happened to be like, all right, so let me see what is up with that, and I did a little Googling, and it turns out it was other people had a similar problem with Plex, which is a movie streaming app. I run actually on the NAS, which is great because I've got a bunch of movies on there, and then I don't have to have a computer on to stream from it; just stream straight from the NAS. But basically, the trick was to change the startup order of the Plex service, and at least. I had already updated, so I didn't have any updates, but I rebooted it, and boom, came right back. So hopefully that little prompting of, hey, don't be lazy, go fix something, was good. Anyway, so now that's fixed. You don't have to worry anymore. It is
All
hopefully
right.
not vulnerable, and will actually reboot. So I know you were sleepless, was keeping you up at nights, but
That's right. I'm concerned for your video viewing and
That's right.
NAS security
Exactly.
safety.
Anyway, so what you got for me tonight?
I wanted to talk more about FIDO and multi-factor authentication and 2FA. We've talked about it, or I've talked about it a number of times in the past. We have, and I've mentioned I have YubiKeys, the little USB keys that you plug into USB and that generates a token.
Right.
And the whole concept of two-factor, right, is to go beyond just your password, so that if someone gets a hold of your password, they can't log into your bank or mail, email, or anything else like that.
Something you know and something you have.
If they get access to your email, they can pretty much access every other one of your websites because they'll go through the password reset process if they want to. So the idea of a second factor is you need your password and something else.
Right.
And a lot of services started providing access to your mobile phone number. So it'll text you an SMS number, right? You'll get a phone number,
right,
or a code that goes to your phone. But those are falling out of favor because the bad guys then would go, if they wanted to hunt you down, they would go port your phone number and social engineer your telephone company to port your phone number over to their device, which then now they have the second factor.
Right.
And then the second one was things like Google Authenticator or some of these one-time codes that are generated by an app. Those have not as big a problem as the SMS codes, but same kind of thing, right? Level 0, you got a password. Level 1, you use SMS. Level 2, you're using a one-time password generator like a Google Authenticator or Authy, or I think a lot of
1Password has one
password managers. Yeah, 1Password has one built in. Password managers have them built in. Things like that. This is level 3. You get the little hardware device, which acts as a keyboard, and you plug it in. And so the article I read this last week was from Krebs on security, about Google basically saying that they have rolled out the security keys to, I think it says, 85,000 plus employees. I didn't realize Google had that many employees.
Wow.
But since they've rolled out those essentially YubiKeys or those multi-factor universal second factor, the U2F devices, these hardware tokens, they're just like a little USB thumb drive or something you plug into your computer. They haven't, and they rolled that out in early 2017, and they haven't had any instances of users being phished.
That is astonishing.
In the context of, having some, accidentally clicking on an innocent looking email and ending up somewhere they shouldn't and giving away their security keys or access to things they shouldn't, which is awesome. So all that kind of to lead up to why I think, and I don't know, when's your birthday, John?
March.
I'm gonna get you a U2F. I'm gonna get you a
key.
Me
a YubiKey?
Make you start using it.
Oh, okay.
Because WebAuthn, the web authentication API, is now kind of starting to take hold, I think, and I think more and more websites are going to start supporting actual hardware keys when you log into sites. Right now, for the most part, it's Chrome, and I use it mostly with Chrome and GitHub. That's the number one place I use it, is both for my enterprise GitHub account and just my public GitHub account. Anytime I try to log in, it prompts me for my hardware key, and I plug it in. And
I didn't know that enterprise GitHub supported that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So I have that hooked up for both. So no one can log in as me unless they have my keychain,
right?
Physical access
literal
to
keychain.
Yes, my physical keychain. And I think there are a number of things coming down the pipe. So if you are listening to the podcast, I would go read the article we'll link with to Krebs' website on this, and just kind of start familiarizing yourself with hardware tokens, hardware second factor devices, because I think they will start to become more prevalent.
One of the really astonishing things about that claim that they've, it can't be that nobody's been phished. I'm sure they still get phishing emails. I'm sure they still have employees that click on the phishing emails, but the point, I guess, is that even if your credentials are compromised, your credentials aren't just digital, and that's where the impact of a breach like that may be minified. But remember, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the insider threats. I guess it was 3 weeks ago, and that what was it? More than 60% of incidents involved insiders. I don't remember the exact
Right.
percentage, but it was significant. So anything that can make a huge dent in the threat posed by innocent insiders is a very good technology.
And the actual words that were used is we've had no reported or confirmed account takeovers since implementing security keys. So it's not that they haven't been phished or haven't been attacked or haven't been approached. It's no one has done so successfully.
Okay.
At least that's how I read that.
Carefully worded, because the first sentence says Google has not had any of its 85,000 employees successfully phished. And I'm
right.
Like, I bet not. Just from the number of emails. I mean, even I'm sure everybody at Google is perfectly 100% aware of security, and
Right.
I guess related to that, though, semi-related at least, is that I've been getting for the last few weeks, probably weekly email about, hey, sign up for Enterprise Uber. Your company has done it, and I've been like, whatever, no. And honestly, I kind of looked at some of the URLs. I'm like, well, I don't know. It kind of looks legit, but mostly I was like, well, I hadn't seen anything anywhere else. I didn't click on it. But then an email came out today that said, there's reports of employees, receiving these emails. We do not have a deal. Please don't. So,
right.
That's
Uber marketing.
That made me happy. Oh, it's purely Uber. It is. So it's a legit email.
It's a legit email from Uber. And the only reason I know is it was going to my old company account.
Oh,
so the previous company, it was going to my Intel
I was going to
account.
say, it's no secret. Anybody can look at your LinkedIn.
Exactly.
Interesting. So,
yeah,
you should use Lyft. I'll just say that. Okay.
Well, as well. So also, Shane Huntley is a director at Google's threat analysis group, and he put out a couple tweets kind of along these same lines, saying, hey, second factor is very important, but let's make sure we understand what we mean when we say second factor. Second factor alone is not going to protect you against being phished or attacks, because depending on the type of second factor, as I mentioned earlier, whether it's a phone or an authenticator app or something else,
right,
the attacker can still, ask you for a password, ask you for your passcode if they're either man-in-the-middling a website or, whatever they may be doing. They can still get those codes even if they don't have your phone number or your authenticator app. They can, if they do a man-in-the-middle. The thing that really saves you is what we've just talked about, this FIDO U2F security key, a hardware-based key, because that, when you plug that into the USB and tap the button, it spews out a very long string of seemingly random characters. So those are not something that is easy to just type your man in the middle. I was going to say,
sorry, you're making me go. If you're actually in the middle of a conversation and you're essentially proxying and able to ask for that, that seems a little bit.
I'm gonna. As I was saying that,
I could tell you were like, wait a minute, that won't work. That's funny, but let's leave the man in the middling for my topic. That actually is related, I think. But just in general, I think that, I guess, just to reiterate, if you can make a dent in innocent user behavior, that is a program worth implementing.
So really, that's all my topic tonight. Go read up on FIDO and universal second factor. Obviously, there's still the social engineering aspects are still there. It's not perfect, but like I say, it's upping the security game another level.
Right. I guess there might be a herd metaphor there where if you don't want to be the zebra with the wounded leg on the edge of the herd. I don't know.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's in a sea of automobiles. If your car has the club in it, even if it's the nicer car, it'll probably get passed over for an easier mark. That's how I
Thanks,
see
I haven't thought about the
security as
club
well.
for about 20 years.
I'm going to bust out the clapper here in a minute,
Yeah,
too.
that's great.
Your cylinders are just the new clappers.
That's true. That's true. You get to just yell at them. All right. Well, so I feel like this is a momentous week in one way, which is that Chrome 68 is out, at least hypothetically. I'm running Chrome 67.
In July, right?
What?
So Chrome 68 is being released in July. So at some point soon,
Oh,
your browser will auto-update.
I thought it was out this week. Like, literally yesterday, they started rolling everything out.
Well, it is July.
Well, yes. Okay, yes, it is July.
I just restarted my browser. I'm now on Chrome 68.
There you go.
I was Chrome 67 30 seconds ago.
There you go.
I relaunched the browser. I'm now Chrome 68.
I have to say that let's see if I go to About Chrome. It says checking for updates, nearly up to date. Relaunch Google Chrome to finish updating. So I'm still on 67, but if I were to axe my notes here, then I would get the update. Anyway, what's special about Chrome 68? Chrome 68 is...
Oh, is that a question?
Well, I actually did phrase that as a question.
Was it a rhetorical question?
But it's semi-rhetorical since you know the answer. They're basically marking any site that doesn't use HTTPS as not secure. So, historically, browsers have put a padlock and said secure when a website used HTTPS, and basically didn't have any markers necessarily when it didn't. And now they are explicitly flagging sites that are not using TLS as not secure. And they're going to, over the course of the next couple of months, they're going to make it a little bit even more prominent. So I think by October, it's going to be a nice red font that says, not secure. But their goal is to make it so that the default unmarked state is secure. So basically try and make it so that if somebody make it so that when something's wrong, you have to pay attention, but otherwise you don't. It's just, secure by default.
Yeah, I wonder what the other big browsers are going to do. I can only assume they will follow Google's lead here and how they treat websites.
Yes. I'm unprepared for discussing what other plans are because I haven't had time to really look. And really, to be honest, the two browsers I use these days are Chrome and Safari. But so one of the post we'll link is actually from the Google blog. But one of the things that they actually had in here was a couple of stats, which since they've been tracking it, and I didn't mark what the time duration was, but as of now, 76% of Chrome traffic on Android is HTTPS. And they say up from 42%, so that's pretty significant, 42 to 76. On Chrome OS, it's 85% of traffic is protected. And then across the top 100 sites, they say 83 of the top 100 sites on the web use HTTPS by default. And that is up from 37. So that's a significant difference.
Well, and another thing that I think Chrome has done, which I don't think we talked about, but it's out now and it's now continues to roll out, is the site isolation feature for Chrome desktop and Chrome. Chrome users, it's when you have tons of tabs open, your tabs now no longer can leak data from one site to another site. So every tab now and all its data runs through the Chrome engine for sharing data, and every browser is in its own process and process space. The browser controls what can share between one tab and another tab, as opposed to, tabs open all in the same process space.
Interesting.
So,
no, I actually haven't read or looked at that, but essentially sandboxing all the tabs, which is good
much.
for the people like me that
have a Toblerone of
a
tabs.
Toblerone. No, because they're tighter than that. I noticed at the beginning of July, it must have gone out in 67 or something like that, that they used the fav icon even when the tabs got really, really, really small, which was new. It was new behavior. I noticed. I was like, hey, sweet, I can see what some of those things are. Because it used to be that by the time you got, I don't know, 30 or 40 tabs open, you would only see the close button, the X, if that. Anyway, yeah, I have a problem sometimes, but anyway, I spent Command W, closing a bunch of tabs. Anyway, every once in a while my computer reboots and actually it happened today, and the Chrome didn't start up correctly or whatever, and said it lost all my tabs. And I was like, well, there we go. Clean slate. Clean slate. Excuse my dog barking out there. Anyway, okay.
Awesome.
So back to Chrome, HTTPS instead of HTTP, and marking that, and then kind of related to that, Troy Hunt put out a video that said why even your static site should use HTTPS, which I thought was an interesting to watch, but it really devolves to one thing, which is still, a valid point, and I actually am in general agreement with him. I saw a few people kind of trying to say no, like on Twitter, but
all right, because the idea is, hey, I have a blog, it has text, and that's all it has on it. Why I don't take passwords, I don't take credit cards, I don't have a store. Why do I need HTTPS? And so he put the blog and the video trying to convince people why even your very boring static website needs HTTPS.
Right. Did you watch the video?
I have not watched the video. No.
Oh, okay. Well, it really.
I mean, I read his post. But I didn't actually watch
and
the
I think the post pretty much says the major thing too, because I would say the video all devolves to one point, which is, HTTPS gives you both confidentiality and integrity. So what the argument is from, hey, that's just marketing content, it's just my static blog, why does it matter? You're basically saying that the integrity doesn't matter, and that it's okay if somebody intercepts, modifies your traffic, your site, and has their way with it. In that, and this is not just a theoretical thing, right? This happens in coffee shops. This happens in airplane Wi-Fi. This happens in hotels. Any place that is, well, frankly, I think those are all shady behavior, because those are quote unquote, legitimate. Even ISPs will do this in some places. Right. But in reality, do you want to have your readers or consumers, whoever's using your site, be able to rely on the fact that they're seeing what you're putting out? If so, you care about integrity. You don't want somebody to be able to insert, unicorns or Rick Astley in the in your site. I mean, that's really what it comes around to is, if you're not using HTTPS, then anybody who's in between the browser and your site can modify your content to their heart's content. They can they can
Right.
insert, they can change, they can redirect to a different site. There's no guarantee or no assistance on that. And so, the CIA are the acronyms that, a lot of people in security should be familiar with in terms of, C is for confidentiality, I is for integrity, A is for availability. When we talk about using HTTPS for encryption so that nobody can snoop on your the conversation between you and your bank, that's the C. You're worrying about confidentiality. If you're talking about availability, that's something where, for example, a denial of service attack is an attack against availability, and there are sites that like Project Shield that will help protect, and Cloudflare, and use a CDN. There's lots of things that you can do for availability, but I is integrity. And if you care about making sure that your site isn't used to, to do something that you don't want it to be used for, then you still should have HTTPS. So, that's the deal. I thought that was it's a good video. It's a pretty long video. He definitely walks the talk pretty slowly down. Takes 25 minutes or something like that to show that, but it's very visual, and I think is worth a watch.
Cool.
But yeah, so good on. I'm happy to see the move. Well, I guess one last thing about why HTTPS these days too is that it's so easy.
Yeah.
There's and performant. 10 years ago there was a performance penalty for using HTTPS. No longer.
Right.
And actually, I remember Troy doing some other posts in the past year or so about doing some performance measuring on HTTPS. But anyway, so check it out if you want. That's some interesting stuff.
Well, our podcast website, the part of it that is hosted by our hosting provider, now in Chrome says not secure. MostlySecurity.com is. You go to MostlySecurity.com and it's just fine. But if you then click on the website to go view the individual posts, those are not secure.
Let me see. So this is Oh, see, I haven't rolled to 67 yet or 68 yet, so it's quote unquote secure for me until my browser restarts. All right. Well, hey, you got something fun for me?
Yeah. So I first up, I have a confession.
Uh-oh.
I don't have a Reddit account. I have never had a Reddit account. But my something fun actually exists on Reddit. So fortunately, you can go to Reddit and read stuff without actually having an account. I was
going to say, what do you need a Reddit account for? To post, I guess?
I guess.
I do not engage.
No, exactly.
I have been to Reddit many times, but yeah, I do not think I have ever posted anything on Reddit.
Yeah, so Twitter is generally my main feed for consuming news or interesting things, and I stumbled across a Twitter account which is called Silent Movie GIFs, and it references their Reddit. So if you're going to go to the Reddit, you can see a whole longer list and a lot nicer. So that's why I throw the Reddit one in there. But when I was a kid, I remember as a kid going down to the local library, and my dad had an 8mm projector, and you could go to the library and check out 8mm movies, all the silent movies. So the Laurel and Hardy, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, all these old, really cool movies. Anyways,
and they were to be clear, they were old even when you were young.
Yes, I'm not that old. These are movies from the 1910s, the 1920s, even into the 1930s. These are the really old black and whites,
right?
Silent films. anyways, it's a website that basically puts short little clips from a lot of these silent movies, and it's quite a bit of nostalgia for me. Because I remember as a kid going to the library getting those because it was fun to pull out the projector and actually feed the film through. Kind of, you don't see that anymore. Even in movie theaters, they don't have the big film projectors. Everything's digital now.
Right.
So anyway, so that's my something fun. Kind of go check it out. There a lot of them are really cool. Probably you have seen them in current movies where people have redone the stunts or some of the bits, the comedy bits from that were originally in these old silent movies. So a lot of fun.
That's great. Okay, I'll have to go check out. I don't really have the nostalgia for some of those, but yeah, I'm just kind of browsing through there. There's some cool looking stuff out.
Yeah, and if you read some of the comments as well, it talks about how, I mean, in the 1910s, 1920s, they were breaking new ground. So how did you film things? How did they do travel to make it look like X, Y, and Z, and to make a scene look, real depth? They used miniature cars with kids driving them in the background, so that they were closer in reality, but perspective made it them look farther away. And the cars really far in the back were just cardboard cutouts on a track rolling by. But
wow,
so to give anyways, there's a lot of them have a little bit of history to them as well, and talk about kind of the background behind the scenes. So a fun little Reddit or Twitter account to follow.
Okay, very cool. I'll have to check that out. All right. So, my something fun is nothing that I really did, but something that I saw in the news this morning that I think is really cool. So, which is that they found water, or they believe they found. Sorry, we already knew there was ice on Mars, but they found what they believe to be liquid water on Mars, which I like following science. I like following space in particular. I wish that NASA's budget was much larger than it is. Anyway, but this was, I thought, really cool, and so I've got a link to the Nature article that I thought was good, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Presumably this is a European satellite that they one of the cool things they did is that they kept seeing these reflections, and they couldn't figure out what was going on, and they were not repeatable. And so one of the things they said at the beginning is that the scientists basically said stop sending us the processed data, just send us all the raw data, instead of, evidently there's some level of processing being done actually out on the satellite. And so anyway, so they processed it, and they eliminated all these other possibilities that it might be, and they're like, this is one of the possibilities is that it's actually liquid water. So very bright radar reflections, and based on, well, I couldn't quite tell from this article, it wasn't technical enough, but based on analysis, they're saying that it's approximately 1.5 kilometers below the surface, so deep, and that the water must be at least a meter deep. So that's not, 1 meter is not very deep, but they don't know how deep it might be. They're just saying that it has to be at least a meter, presumably for that level of reflection to occur. So very cool. And I guess the other one is that in order for it to be liquid at those temperatures, it must be very, very, very briny, very salty. But I thought that was really cool.
I had not seen that till you mentioned that earlier. That is really
Isn't that
cool.
Awesome?
I hope, the fingers crossed, that I'm around when we actually send a manned mission to Mars, and getting that data back would be, I hope I'm not, pushing daisies by that point.
Yeah. Ditto. So go Elon. you can be
That's right.
All right, eccentric billionaire in many ways, but please, yeah, I'm good for the Mars
Send somebody to
habitation.
Mars. Well, that was fun.
Yep. Sound like a show?
Good stuff. I'm on vacation next week, but it's a relaxing vacation, and I'm tempted just to take my stuff and do the show from the back deck.
That's right. Well, we'll see. If not, I could probably call somebody in and ask for somebody. Be pretty boring to just talk to myself, but all right. Have a safe trip, and talk to you next week.
See you, John.